Let's go ahead and jump to Billy, he, him from Austin, Texas, wants to talk about computer simulated universes. This will be cool. Hey, Billy, how you doing?
Hey. Oh, not bad.
So, computer simulated universes. Do you think we live in
Right.
one, or are you just playing around with the idea, or like, what's
No,
your take on that?
no. I actually called because I had a conversation with Forrest and Jim Burrows.
Jim Barrows. Yep.
Barrows. I'm sorry about that. A couple weeks ago, and I brought up.
Yep.
I was challenging the idea that we only have this universe, and we don't have any other universes to compare this universe to, and and they basically said that I was wrong. So I talked to Google Gemini, and I asked Google Gemini, why do scientists create computer simulated universes? And Gemini basically told me that they create those universes to compare our universe to. And so I asked Google Gemini, I was like, well, so what you're saying is that there are other universes for us to compare our universe to. They're just simulated universes, but they are accurate and precise, and they do work. God. And Google Gemini said that, yeah, that's the main reason why scientists create computer simulated universes, is for the purpose of comparing our universe to them. And so I mean,
Billy,
I'm okay.
So just to understand, because like when I saw you on the call screen here, I immediately made sure you were the same Billy that talked to Gemini, and like I just want to make sure I'm hearing you properly. What I'm getting from this is that you took absolutely nothing from Jim's talk to you, because I'm not a computer scientist, but Jim actually has created simulations and coded them in his life. So like you took absolutely nothing away from what Jim said, and instead you were calling now to talk to me and Eric. Eric, you don't work in computers at all, do you?
I do. Actually, I have a computer science degree.
Oh, perfect. Okay, excellent. So you have one computer scientist here on the call. I don't know much about. I've just met you recently, but like we
it's okay.
So you've got one computer scientist to call, but you took nothing away from Jim, and now you're going to talk to us again about the exact same thing, which is that the simulated universes that scientists create to test ideas are actually in and of themselves real universes, and in no way are you going to relate this back to why you believe in a God. That's why I'm asking. No, I'm trying to understand what you're actually saying.
Yeah. No, I never said that those universes are real universes. Never said that. I'm just challenging the claim that we have nothing else to compare our universe to, and that there's only this one universe, and we can't. Well, I mean, obviously, there's just this one real universe that we have.
Right.
But
that's what Jim was saying. We only have this one real universe. And the reason why he was saying that these other simulated universes aren't real universes, the reason why he was drawing that distinction is because they don't have, if I'm trying to remember this call, and even if I don't remember the call, this is what I would say, is that they don't have fine enough resolution to actually capture like the full grand scale of all possibilities. So what we're talking about here is we have one actual universe-sized universe that does universe things, and we have lots of simulations of little bits and parts of that universe that can do kind of universe-based things that allow us to understand a little bit more about the real universe. As we say in science, all models are wrong. Some of them are useful. All simulations are wrong. Some of them allow us to get a little bit closer to the truth about the actual universe around us. So yes, in the same way that I can say there's lots and lots of Eiffel Towers in the world because there's lots of little figurines that have been made and sold all over the place, there's one Eiffel Tower. That's the actual Eiffel Tower. And every single one of the little figurines is wrong. It's not actually what the Eiffel Tower actually looks like. It's pretty damn close, but it's not the actual thing. And we can build figurines and test them and ask questions about them and all these things to learn about the real Eiffel Tower. But the real Eiffel Tower is the real Eiffel Tower, and the real universe is the real universe. That makes sense?
You guys are continuing. Why do you guys keep changing my argument? I never said anything about simulated universes being real. Never. I never said
I didn't say you did. I said that they're...
Yeah. Yes, you did.
What are you saying?
But that's okay. What I'm saying is the argument is that we have nothing to compare our universe to, and that's wrong. Even Google Gemini says that's wrong.
Google Gemini is an AI bot. All right, it's not the fucking truth.
Yeah,
It's just a
very
thing.
intelligent.
And that doesn't matter. It's just a bot that was programmed by humans and has human biases. The issue
so you're saying
is
that
when we
Google
talk
Gemini is
about.
wrong? Wait, are you saying that it's wrong? Are you saying Google Gemini
I'm
is
saying
wrong
that
now?
I'm saying that it can be wrong because it is a human-made machine with human biases encoded into it because it was made by humans. So
is it
the
only
thing
wrong
is,
because is it only wrong because it agrees with me and not you?
no, it's wrong for the reasons that I literally just said. Because it is a
But it's
machine
not wrong.
made by humans with human biases implicit in it because it was coded by humans and is learning from humans. So it's going to have human
And so you're
issues.
saying it's wrong.
That's
So
why
ultimately
literally
you're
on
saying
the
that it's
last
wrong.
show that we were on, that's why literally on the last show that I was on with Roxanne, we talked about how AI has sexism and racism problems because it learns from humans and it inherits human biases. So it's
But I
just a
wasn't
fucking
talking to it
AI
about
tool.
that.
It
I
doesn't.
wasn't talking to it
I
about those
swear,
things.
dude, if
I
you
was
just would take a second to actually engage with what I'm actually saying rather than trying to
I
draw
am.
some ad absurdum like thing out of what we're talking about, you might actually learn something. I'm not saying that you were talking to the AI about racism or sexism. I'm saying that because the AI is just an AI that was made by humans, it's not a god. It doesn't know everything about everything. It's
And
just a
that means it's
tool
wrong.
that humans made. Then it is fallible, and it's not a thing that you can type in an answer, a question, and whatever it tells you is guaranteed to be absolutely right. And especially with the way that you are interpreting what you are saying, I think you're taking a huge leap that doesn't need to be taken. No one's saying there aren't other things that we call universes. No one's saying that simulations don't exist. We're saying that no simulation of the universe is as accurate as the actual fucking universe. And so when we say we don't have another universe to compare it to, we're saying we don't have an accurate enough simulation of this universe to actually know everything about this universe from that simulation. That's what Jim was saying.
I never
That's
said
what
that.
I've said. Then quit arguing with it. It's weird.
Dude, you strawmanned me again, dude. I never said it's a perfect that we can figure out everything about our universe from that. All I'm saying is that we do have other things to compare our universe to. That's it. Really,
No,
this is
and
really
nobody's arguing with that.
Yes, they are.
Who
yes,
said who among me, Eric, Jim? Who said we have absolutely no things that we can compare any part of our universe to?
No, see, you're changing my argument again. I never said that they said that there's nothing we can compare any part of our universe to. They're saying that we cannot compare our universe to anything else, and we can. Mm-hmm. That's the reason they make those. That's the reason they make those simulations is to do that. And so I don't think that Google Gemini is wrong just because it was designed by people and programmed by people. I think that's a
when we compare the universe to these simulations, are we comparing every single aspect of the entire universe to that simulation?
No, and
okay, so then we are comparing part of the universe to the simulation, right? We're comparing part of the universe, right? So then what I said a second ago is accurate. No one's saying that we don't have something to compare parts of the universe to. We're saying we don't have anything to compare all of the universe to. We don't have another entire universe to compare to. That's what they're trying to say.
Well, they can. Well, no, they can compare. They can compare certain aspects of the entire universe to these simulations, like the Big Bang. Whenever they inflate a universe, because as a matter of fact, simulated universes are better because they can tweak the conditions, and then they can run that simulation to see what happens to an inflating universe. If these certain parameters are different. And so they can constrain certain parameters and then run the simulation to see what would happen if a universe like ours, had these certain, differences and try to inflate. So really they are, the things that I'm talking about are basically the inflation of the universe when, the Big Bang and stuff like that. they can actually simulate that with very, very precise resolution. Matter of fact, the Frontier supercomputer has 8K resolution, and which is very, very high resolution. And so there are various aspects of the entire universe that they can simulate and compare with our universe. So,
what has a higher resolution? The best simulation that we have ever made on the greatest supercomputer.
Obviously, reality does.
So, you have a simulation. So you have a simulation of a small part of the universe that has a resolution problem. Even if it goes to 10 billion decimal points, the universe goes on farther than that. And at a universal scale, a 0.0010 billion zeros 1 degree difference is a major, massive difference on a universal scale. So you have a simulation that can test one tiny part of the universe in a way that isn't actually what the universe actually is, but is pretty damn close, maybe. That's not a comparison to a different universe.
Actually, reality doesn't have that good of resolution. Actually, that's why people think that.
But it's still better than a simulation.
No, actually, it's better than computer simulations. But they can do simulations like not on computers, actually on paper and on chalkboards. They can actually get as deep as reality on paper, but they can't do that on a computer because the literal image resolution isn't that good. But when they do the calculation on paper, they can get just as accurate as reality.
So, Billy, what's the ultimate point?
There's actually scientific articles. There's peer-reviewed scientific articles that support this, and I can find one for you if you want.
Billy, what's the main thrust of this call here? Because I'm a little lost in the weeds here. I got maybe a couple disagreements with what you said, but I'll just roll with what you said. What's the thrust of this call here? Do you have a question? Do you have a statement? Like what are you trying to point out here?
Well, I mean, ever since the call that I had with Forrest and Jim, I've been trying to get more support for the idea that or the argument against the claim that we don't have anything to compare our universe to. We do. We've been doing it for 100 years.
I can compare. So, Billy, I can compare the universe to a glass jar. I could say, well, the universe is a container for all the stuff that reality contains, and hey, the glass jar is a container for all the stuff that the jar contains. Like, I don't even need a computer to draw comparisons between the universe and something else. So, what is the big hang up about the computer simulations thing?
It's fine-tuned. It's the fine-tuning argument. It's the idea that we don't know that the universe is fine-tuned. We do. We do know that. And I'm not saying that there's a
fine-tuned universe. Billy, a fine-tuned universe would imply that there's somebody tuning it.
No, it doesn't.
Right?
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
So when you say fine-tuned, then you just mean that the variables, the constants of the universe are just right to allow us to exist.
They're extremely accurate. Like
not extremely accurate. They're just hold on, Billy.
No.
Listen to what I'm saying here. Okay, fine-tuning simply states that we exist because the universe's constants and variables are where they are. Right. That's really all fine-tuning says.
And
unless you're trying to make some other point with it.
No, and if you change the cosmological constant by plus minus 1 at the 15th decimal place, the universe would not exist in a persistent state at all. So, or if you change gravity by 1 part in 10 to the 60th,
the universe would exist.
The universe would not exist.
The universe would exist in some other form. The universe would exist in some other form. We might be able to simulate those things. We might be able to imagine what those things are. Billy, hold on. Billy,
sorry.
Billy, just because the universe might exist in some different state doesn't mean anything in this conversation. Like, what's the point here?
But the other state is that it would exist in an eternal inflation, which means it would just completely dissipate, or it would exist in a cyclic crunch down state where it inflates and then crunches back down and inflates and keeps doing that until it runs out of energy and just dies.
Okay.
Those are basically
if that universe actually existed, we wouldn't be around to complain about it. The universe just happens to be where it's at, and we're here to complain about it. I still don't see the point you're trying to make here.
Well, for those figures
You're a
to
theist,
be
right?
that precise, yeah. The odds
Okay,
of
you're a
those
theist, right?
figures
Do you
being
think
yeah,
do you think a
I was
God
saying
has
something.
fine-tuned the universe to be the way it is?
Well, I think that I support front-loaded intelligent design theory, so I think that it was
Okay,
configured
intelligent design theory.
initially.
So you think so, Billy? It's a simple yes or no question. Do you think a God set the universe the way it is to create life?
I I think it's wait. This isn't a yes or no question. I think that it set the singularity the way it
It is
is,
that is
and
absolutely a yes or no
enslaved us.
question. I'm asking you, what do you think? Do you think a God exists? You're a theist, so that answer is yes,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Okay. Do you think your God is responsible for the creation of the universe?
yes.
Okay. Do you think your God tuned the universe to fulfill some goal?
I don't know.
You don't know. So you think the God just
Yeah, I don't know.
created the universe with no goal in mind?
I don't know. There's no
You
way I
don't
can know
know.
that.
Okay. Do you have any evidence that this God actually did this, created the universe?
Just the extremely precise figures of cosmological constants and fundamental force characteristics inherent in the fine scale
Did your
structure of
God do
reality.
this by accident? Did your God do this by accident, or did he do
I,
it on purpose?
I don't know. I don't know.
You don't know.
I mean, I think on
But
purpose because the those values are so precise and they cooperate with each other in such a way that in order for that to happen by some random chance, it would take odds that are beyond the acknowledged figure for statistical impossibility in 1 in 10 to the 50th.
how did you
So,
determine
um,
how did you determine that this is the only possible universal configuration to support life?
uh, computer simulations demonstrate that.
Have we
Prove that.
simulated all possibilities?
I don't think we have to simulate all possibilities because if you change the values by a very small amount, it immediately goes goes to shit. So I mean, you don't really have to you don't have to simulate all possibilities. All you have to do is find the range at which it doesn't work anymore, and then that's it. That's all you have to do.
But who's to say? But
It's
who's
not
to say
really
under
that
that
big of a
new
secret.
system? Who's to say under that new system life can't exist in some other form?
I mean, can you demonstrate that life can exist in a different form?
That's not what I'm. Hold on. Don't shift the burden of proof here.
I mean, that's what
I'm
you would have to
asking
do.
you, how did you determine that this form of life that we currently are is the only possible one?
Computer simulations. Like there's
All right, now we're going to
you
circle
can.
here. So, Billy, my point is, okay, first of all, simulations are even though they can be very precise in some aspects, they have very little precision in others because these simulations run within our universe. They're confined to our universal laws. So we may not be able to test all possibilities. We may have possibilities that we have no idea about. We're talking about literally, I think, literally infinite unknowns. And you're saying all these unknowns are impossible to support life. This is the only one that supports life. Therefore, I think my God did it. And I that
I mean,
that
if
go
you
ahead.
want to start fantasizing about stuff, then you can certainly do that if you want.
I'm
But
not
I
fantasizing
mean,
about anything. I'm talking about different possibilities.
It's wild that the
what
theist is accusing you of fantasizing. I have a totally different thing whenever you're
possibilities that
done.
are
I'm
beyond
not trying to interrupt.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm just
but
about done
possibilities,
here.
but
Yeah.
you're proposing possibilities that are beyond the known laws of physics. So I mean, I can't really, I don't get to do that. I don't get to
Well, the
just
known
decide
laws
that
of
Billy,
there
physics. The
should
known
be
laws of
something.
do
physics.
you believe?
The known laws of physics are our universe's physics, right? So you're
Mhm.
saying,
Exactly.
oh, I'm
Exactly.
proposing possibilities outside of the confines of a universe, and I'm saying no. I'm talking about infinite other universes that I can't possibly imagine. I'm not a physicist or anything, but I can't think about all those possibilities and say, oh, I don't see life forming in any of those. So obviously, our universe is fine tuned for life, and because I'm here to complain about it, that's
Mhm.
Well,
that to me, you're eliminating
well, they
possibilities with no justification.
I also want to throw
well,
out there,
scientists
like
have.
Billy, do you believe that there are things about the universe that we don't know yet?
Well, yeah, I'm sure But
right. So then wouldn't that necessarily follow that any simulation we build is in error because it can't possibly include the things that we don't know?
Well, I mean, as long as when you run the simulation, if it matches with what we see in reality, then it's pretty
again,
you know,
you just said what we see in reality. You're saying you're saying, Billy, what we see in our universe. We're talking about other universes.
Yeah.
How can we possibly represent what other universes are like in our universe? We're confined to the rules of this universe.
I'm not talking about other universes. I'm not talking about other universes. I'm talking about the parameters of this universe. Because scientists have already dismissed the supersymmetric model for particle physics. So as far as we're concerned, there are no other physics. This is it. So the supersymmetric model has been dismissed. I mean,
for example, something that we didn't know about, like say, for example, some weird shit that even I couldn't explain, ball lightning. I don't know how the fuck it works, but I know it's a thing, right? So if I were to code a simulation of the universe and I didn't know anything about ball lightning and I typed in, because again, I don't know how computers work either, lightning looks like this and works these ways, and then ran the simulation would never come up with ball lightning, and it would only look the way that I see the universe around me because I don't know ball lightning exists, and it would never be able to produce ball lightning because it's just a simulation based on what I have put into it. So it's not accurate and it's not good enough, and I can't actually learn about things. That's why when we do these simulations, we are testing things that we know and tweaking parameters to try to see what fits. But it's still just a tiny, tiny snippet of the universe that we're testing in a tiny, tiny way that is in no way a representation of the whole universe and also all the things that we don't know about. It's not an actual representation of the universe. It's just a model.
I mean, yeah, you said that. You've already said that before. Yeah,
and yet you continue to ignore it.
And I agree. And I agree with you. I've already agreed with you about that. I've agreed with you that we can't simulate
so it's not,
every aspect of every part of existence all
right.
at the same time.
So it's not reasonable to say.
I never said that.
So then it's not reasonable to say that it's another universe that's comparable to ours. It's a simulation of a small part of our universe that isn't even comparable to the actual small part of our universe that it's simulating. It's just a simulation.
No, yes, it is. No, it is. I mean, they can, if you if you reduce or if you focus the parameters to a specific thing, they can ramp up the resolution to simulate it almost perfectly. I mean, this is something that they've been doing since illustrious
Google Earth. Is Google Earth, the map that Google Earth produces, is it an accurate depiction of the actual surface of the Earth?
You're talking about Google Earth? Those are actual pictures of the Earth, dude. Those are pictures of the Earth. Yes, they're accurate.
Right. But because they are 2D pictures, which then have to be like morphed onto a 3D object, you always have some distortion. That's the whole thing. Like I remember in grad school we had to do GIS, and that was like lessons 1 through 50 was like how maps get distorted anytime even the best possible map gets applied to a sphere. It's wrong now. And so, like, you have to figure out which wrong is better and which wrong you're willing to deal with. That's why there's different projections of a map, right? So, Google Earth, best maps that we have, they're wrong. They're not actually what the Earth actually looks like. They're pretty damn close, but they're not actually what the Earth looks like, right? But they're not actually it. But they're still wrong, right? They're extremely close. They're still wrong, right?
If they take pictures small enough, then they could get the exact. They could get the.
No, they couldn't, because you're still applying a 2-dimensional image to a 3-dimensional shape, which means you're going to have distortions forever. So no matter how close it is, do you know what an asymptote is, Billy?
They take pictures from different angles, though.
That was a yes or no question. That was a yes or no question. Do you know what an asymptote is?
I used to know what that word meant. I don't know what that word means.
It's on a graph when something gets closer and closer and closer to the axis, and it gets infinitely close. It continues to get closer and closer forever. It's infinitely closer and closer and closer and closer and closer, but it never actually touches. You just add a zero,
like
zero, 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 zero forever. And that's the idea. It goes for infinity, getting infinitely closer, but never actually touching. That's what we're talking about with simulations. We can get closer and closer and closer and closer to reality. We can get so close that we can't tell the difference, but that doesn't mean that there isn't still a difference. And there is. And that difference, when applied on a universal scale, is monumental. That's why we don't have a simulation of the whole universe.
I never said that we did. I never said that we
I
did.
didn't say you did. I'm just making the point that you keep saying these simulations are so incredibly accurate and so incredibly close. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, they always are going to have a flaw that separates them from reality, which means they're not comparable to the entire universe. All you're doing is making an analogy.
Do we have something to compare our universe to or not?
Yeah, as Eric said, you could compare the universe to literally anything. You could compare the universe to absolutely anything, and you could call it a comparison. It doesn't mean it's reasonable. And so what we're talking about when we say we don't have another universe to compare things to, we're not saying that nobody could ever just like say, this is kind of like the universe. We're saying that we don't have a different law of physics that is functional and working and like running on a universal scale that we can like test and judge and verify and compare. That we're talking about the actual full universal scale.
No, see, that's where you're wrong. We do have models where we can adjust those properties and run the simulations. That's what I'm talking
on a
about.
Universal scale.
Yes, sure.
On a universal scale. That's what we're talking about. You can compile a bunch of models. It won't be as big as the universe.
I mean, maybe not as well. I mean, maybe not as big as the universe, but not.
And
not
Billy,
in
also
that
keep
case,
in mind. Billy, also keep in mind that small errors in mathematics add up to big things over time. So if you're going to simulate an entire universe and you have any small errors in there, any lack of precision, that's going to add up and add up and add up. So it's our predictive models with these simulations. There's going to be a threshold where anything after a certain point is going to be unreliable. So anyway, we're going to wrap this up.
I have one more thing that I want to throw out there really quick before we do wrap up, Eric, if that's right. If you have something you wanted to finish. I just want to throw out there that while you were talking, I went and muted my microphone for a second, and I just logged on to Google Gemini, and I asked Google Gemini, hey, since AI is created by humans, does it contain any implicit human biases? And Gemini said, you're absolutely right. AI does inherit biases from humans in several ways. Here's a breakdown on how that happens. And then I asked, is it reasonable to believe anything you say simply because you say it? And Gemini said, you're right to be cautious. Here's why you shouldn't believe everything I say simply because I say it. And it goes over some of those biases and a lot of other things as well.
I know.
And then I asked it as well. I said, what is a succinct way that I can explain why you shouldn't expect everything you say to be accurate? And Google Gemini said, I'm a superpowered search engine, not a perfect truth machine. I can find information, but I can't judge its accuracy. A biased question can lead to a biased answer. You should double check what I say. And at the beginning of the call, whenever you said, Google Gemini said this. Are you saying Google Gemini is wrong? Yeah, it fucking can be, because it's just a tool made by humans. That doesn't mean that it's right.
It can be. I never said that Google Gemini couldn't be wrong. I never said that.
No, but you did spend a lot of time defending it as if it was true because it said it.
Google Gemini, what's 2 plus 2? Oh, Google Gemini just said it's 4. So is Google Gemini wrong or right? Yes or no?
You asked two questions. So, is it wrong or right? Yes or no?
Well, I mean, okay. I asked the question. I asked you your question wrong. Is it wrong?
Is it wrong that 2 plus 2 equals 4?
It just said 2 plus 2 is 4.
Billy, we know.
It just said 2
Billy,
plus 2
we
is 4.
know. Billy, we know Google Gemini is right when we can verify that it's correct. With 2 plus 2, we're able to verify that. When you're asking it questions about the universe and properties and such, and the computer simulations that are being run, we can't really verify that. So that's why we are doubtful about the answer that you would get.
There's peer-reviewed scientific articles that support what I'm saying right now.
Then present those. So Billy, then present those instead of what Google Gemini says.
I'm going to call back. Well, because I mean, are you guys really going to sit there and read a giant article right now? You're not going to.
You know, if you send it to us, we just might.
You know what's
Billy,
crazy is that like what actual. It's crazy because like when I was like, you know, writing when I was doing my thesis for my last master's, like one of the whole things that I had to do was present a bunch of scientific articles that contradicted what I was saying, and then a bunch of scientific articles that supported what I was saying and explained why through my research I was verifying one and discrediting the other. So like, yeah, you can find scientific articles that say things. That's a cool thing to do. You should also check out some ones that say things you don't like, and to kind of like actually grapple with that evidence, and then call back with that.
I do that. Yeah. No, I do that. All right. Dude. I do that.
So wait, Billy,
you totally just said dude like 5 times.
I really appreciate talking to you guys. Like, and what I appreciate the most is actually getting to say goodbye to you guys, because usually I'm getting hung up on and yelled at and ridiculed. But it feels good to actually say goodbye to you guys and hang up on them
right now before you say goodbye. Do it.
All right, Billy, let's Billy, we appreciate the conversation. We appreciate the sentiment. Thank you so much. If you want to send us any of those papers, contact@qnaline.com. That's the email address. Feel free to send it in.
Okay.
We may or may not look at it. No promises, but you have a good afternoon.
Also, you should call back whenever Eric and Jim are on at the same time, so you have 2 computer scientists that can talk to you about why simulations aren't reality.
Just to manage expectations, I don't have a master's. I have a bachelor's in computer science, and I got one so I could become like a worker bee in a company. But I have written some simulations. I have written a city simulator. I know the basics about what's going on in there, and computers with their limitations on how to represent floating point numbers, and the way that the mathematics in computers can sometimes work out a little wonky, which I'm sure the really smart simulators writers out there can compensate for it. But I don't see how we can get the precision that's actually occurring in the universe within one of our computers, because first of all, our computers within the universe itself is going to have the same limitations that our universe has, plus the ones that we built into it due to our inability to overcome those technical hurdles or because of human mistakes, all those things. A simulation within the universe is going to have its problems, and we can't sit here and say, we can simulate all this certain set of variables and constants, and oh man, things just go haywire and crazy, and the universe either infinitely expands or contracts or whatever. Like, I don't see how we can say at all possibilities will come to either that, and somehow this single instance of the universe that we're in right now is somehow the only one viable for life. I simply cannot see that. Yeah. I would love to see a paper that says as much, because they would have quite the barrier of evidence and argumentation to come over for me to accept that.
Hey, it's Jimmy Snow here. I'm the executive producer on the line with a fun fact. Did you know 100% of the hosts of this channel enjoy eating? It's true. And if you would like to help contribute to their ongoing addiction, you can do so by going over to Patreon or becoming a channel member. There are show-specific, host-specific tiers. Those are awesome. But also, you can leave a super thanks with a special little highlighted comment. You can like, comment, and subscribe. All of those will help fill our whittle bellies. By the way, check out some of this content over here. Algorithm, what next?